Die schönste ist die Winterin in ihrer...
Hello and greetings everybody, and welcome to another edition of Jamie's Journeys. And today, I tell you, we're in one of my favorite parts of the world, and the favorite part for many, and that is Tuscany here in Italy. You know, Tuscany is of course most famous for, well, its wines, its museums, its churches, but also those wonderful hillside cities or villages such as San Gimignano, Siena, great places to visit. And also the big cities such as Florence that many people have gotten to. Well, anyway, today I'm going to take you to a place that is often forgotten, but I think it's very charming indeed, and that is the city of Lucca. Now, Lucca is great because for guests who have been to Florence or maybe they don't want to spend a whole day out touring and exploring, it's a place where you can come in the afternoon for a few hours and visit this lovely walking city. It has a great history, some interesting sights to see, and I'd like to spend a little time taking you around. So thanks for joining me on Jamie's Journey, and let's visit Lucca, Italy. All right, I'm standing before the statue of Giacomo Puccini, born in 1858. Of course, we all remember Puccini for his wonderful operas such as Tosca, La Bohème, Madame Butterfly, and more. He was born into a family of musicians. His father was a musician, his grandfather, great-grandfather, great-great-grandfather, great-great-great-grandfather, and they all created music that was for religious purposes. And that's what they thought that young Giacomo would do as well. However, he of course took a different road, and what a difference that has made in the lives of many. And he was born and spent his youth, his adolescence, just in this little apartment here on the corner, and it remained in the family for many years. The most dangerous thing here in Lucca are the bicycles. Now they have this little bell that they ring. You might just hear one now. But the bikes are all over the place. About 10 years ago, they stopped car traffic from coming into the city, which is a good thing. But now you've got to deal with a lot of bicycle traffic to boot. A lot less lethal. Hello. Tour groups are pretty dangerous too. If you're not careful, you can get run over by one of them. All right, we are in the Piazza San Michele, and this Duomo, which is a house of God, this has the most spectacular facade in the city, and it is created in the Romanesque and Pisan, or Pisa, architecture. So you can see several different colors of marble, many different patterns and styles, and just a very unique church with the striped lines on it. I think I'll maybe take a picture of it myself. Well, another church on our ABC trail, and that ABC stands for another big church, and there is about, 87 here in Lucca. But this one also has a beautiful facade done in the Romanesque Pisan Lucasian style. And this one is called the St. Martin Church. And you can see a depiction of St. Martin on the horse. There used to be another statue of him, which is no longer there. But the story of St. Martin is, as it goes, is that he came across a man who was cold, and in order to save him, he tore his jacket in two so that he could keep warm, and then the other man could keep warm. And that is depicted there on that statue. Later, though, he had a dream that the man that he gave his jacket to was Jesus Christ. And because of that dream, he later became a Christian, and then later became a saint. Well, right now I'm standing in Napoleon Square. Now, Napoleon was the King of France in 1805, and then he also became the ruler of Italy. Now, as a gift to one of his sisters, her name was Eliza, he gave her the gift of the city of Lucca. Now, actually, Eliza didn't want Lucca. She wanted Florence. She wanted all of Tuscany, but she had to settle for Lucca, which I would take. But anyway, she took this building that we're going to see, which was the really the city hall at the time, and she wanted to turn it into the Palace of Versailles, because she was wanted the same grandeur of Paris here in Lucca, and she was determined to turn this city into that. Well, this square where we're standing now actually had a church on it and several dwellings, but when Eliza stood out on the balcony, she wanted to see a giant square, but she didn't want to see the church or the houses, so she had that demolished. Anyway, because of that, she really became hated by the Lucasians, but she did rule here for 9 years, and so even though they didn't like her then, they kind of like her now. Because of her, there's now this big, beautiful square. Well, we now just came on to the inner courtyard of the old palace, and it is, as you know, very plain on the outside. But as you come on the inside, we have to say, personally, I think it's far more beautiful. Let's take a look. Well, if you're looking to shop in town, just look for the cobblestone street. This is the main street, Torre dell'Ora. And it will take you actually from here. You can head right down the street and you'll come to the amphitheater, the Roman amphitheater. That's where we're going to go next. So we might shop along the way. Shoe stores everywhere. The Italians do like their shoes, and I must say, I like them too. I think I'll go inside. Buonasera. Well, this is going to be the last stop on our little walking tour, and right now we're in what used to be a Roman amphitheater. Now, the Romans came here about 100 AD, and they built what was an amphitheater that seated, they estimated, about 10,000 people. But later on, after the fall of the Roman Empire and after the fall of the amphitheater, the people built houses on the spot, and rather than rebuild that amphitheater, they actually tore it down and used some of the stones from that to build these houses. So the actual floor level of the amphitheater is about 7 feet down from here. In the mid-1800s, this was actually full of houses. And about that time, they decided to clear this area to the specifications of the old Roman amphitheater. And you can see 4 gates that lead into the amphitheater. Only one of them is the original gate, and that is behind us. But anyway, it's a lovely square. It's most often photographed because it is a completely round square. And a great place to sit and have a coffee, or to maybe even have a little lunch. Well, we've now just come actually to the gates of Lucca, and it's beautiful with the surrounding mountains, but also there's this fortification that really is very impressive. In fact, it runs about 2 miles, and we didn't have the time to walk it today, but from all accounts, it's a great place to walk because it's now a park. But it used to be the fortress to keep the marauders out of Lucca. Now, during the 16th century, Lucca was at war with Pisa. They were arch rivals. But after that, they became arch rivals of Florence. And the Florentines tried to conquer this city, but they failed. In fact, this is the only city in this region that was never conquered by Florence. And because of that, they spent many years building these wonderful fortifications with these bastions that jut out of the fort. Now, of course, in its day, these used to be fortified, but now these are lovely parks with benches and trees that are great for walking. And you can even still see some of the remains of the original moat, which was about 100 feet wide. So in order to come into the city, you had to swim across the moat, you had to climb the walls, and of course the walls too are so thick. This was to withstand the cannon fire. So it was no longer bows and arrows by the 17th century, it was cannons. And what they did to build this is they brought in all this dirt. All along this way, this dirt was brought in to make this fortification. So it takes a couple hours to walk through Lucca, and it takes a little more time to walk the city walls, and if you have time to do so, I recommend it. Anyway, that's all the time we have today on another Jamie's Journey, and I want to say thank you very much for traveling with me, and I hope you come travel with me again. Thank you.